Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the first night of the MEC Acrobatics and Tumbling Championship here from the campus of Frostburg State University in Frostburg, Maryland. First matchup here on the docket will be the number 2 seed Fairmont State Fighting Falcons and the number 3 seed West Liberty Hilltoppers. Colin Kirkwood and Mariah Ackey with you here. Mariah, back here again. Another year of this. We had a lot of fun the last time. I'm sure it'll be just as fun this time around.
Yep, I was just telling someone the only time that I've never broadcasted MECs was the year I competed in it. So.
Oh, wow. But we've got a great matchup on our hand here between these two. These are two teams, of course, looking at Fairmont State here first. They come in 8-1 overall this year. They had another solid campaign and just that one blemish loss on their record to Frostburg State, and we are talking about a small margin of score in that one.
Yep, it was
very close to perfect.
It was a good meet, and West Lib is coming in. What are they ranked, right? Or what is their
4 and 6, and they are 3 and 2 in conference.
And they went against some pretty tough teams this year. They got to hit up. They went to Texas this year and competed against Baylor. So some of their losses just come from those big schools we have. So
both of these teams will look to move their way into the final that will be tomorrow, as West Liberty has just taken the floor. These two teams did match up once already this season. It kind of gives us a bit of a tape to look back here and talk about between these two. In that win, it was a tri-meet actually. Fairmont State had Davis and Elkins, were scheduled supposed to be there, but a win for Fairmont State, 261 to 252.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it looks like a big difference there, but obviously there's some improvements that West Lib has made coming into this meet, and Fairmont looks to stay on the top like they have been. So I'm excited. It's always a really good matchup between these two. We started these two are the first big rivals that we had in the MEC for acrobatics and tumbling. So I'm very excited to see what West Liberty and what Fairmont has in store for today.
Fairmont State has made their way onto the floor here as we get ready to start out between these two. Plenty of accolades, first and second team, all MEC out on the floor. A couple for Fairmont State, Emily Brock, Brianni Dowson. West Liberty with Kayla Gandy also on the first team of the MEC. 3 more, scratch that, 2 more actually. It'll be Jillian Hartz as well as, scrolling down the list, Katie Cole and Abby Swinderman, all members of the first team for the MEC between these two as we get ready for the matchup between the second and the third seed in this one. Nightcap will be the home Frostburg State Bobcats, the 1 seed taking on Glenville State. That was pretty close the first time around too, but we'll get to that later on. But some individual awards being brought out on the floor here. Why don't we listen into that? That is Kayla Gandy making her way off the floor there for the Hilltoppers.
The only one from West Liberty that got recognized for Athlete of the Week this year for the MEC. So
it's a very difficult award to come by. Plenty won by Abby Baker from Frostburg State as she continued to clean up in that category.
And rightfully, she won Athlete of the Year. So.
A stellar campaign there, but another one for West Liberty's the individuals continue here.
Abby
Swinderman making her way out there. Senior base for the Hilltoppers. It's going to be exciting times on the campus for the Hilltoppers as well, with nationals coming to their campus here later on.
It's going to be really nice to have it here in West Virginia. I know all of the East Coast schools are very excited to be able to drive this year.
Oh, of course, yeah, you don't have to fly anymore, at least for this time around.
Yeah. Definitely exciting, and exciting to bring acro over here. We have so many teams in West Virginia and just over here on the East Coast in PA and Maryland. So it's very, very exciting to bring it over here and to just have the opportunity to get it out there a little bit more.
Yeah, it's really a budding sport here in this area, and it's going to continue to grow, and you're going to see more and more programs start to pop up here in the next couple of years, even in this conference as well.
Yep.
West Virginia State getting ready to join. Notre Dame College just recently joined, and they competed this year. A lot of growth going on. Got more individuals here for Fairmont State as they work their way through. We'll quickly step aside. We'll do the awards are brought to, and then we'll get ready to go here as we start out West Liberty and Fairmont State. You're watching the Mountain East Conference Acro and Tumbling Championships right here on MEC TV.
General Stores has served our hometowns for decades, providing those essential needs for the road of life. The LG family goes above and beyond to ensure that your experience is an easy one. That's why they offer the LG Rewards Card, a way to earn points for free drinks, coffee, and even discounts on fuel. Rest assured, you'll leave knowing they have your needs covered. And by the way, tell them Hug sent you. Little General Stores, your road's neighbor.
Here at the Cracker Barrel, home-style food and great value go hand in hand, with favorites like slow-simmered chicken and dumplings starting at $7.99, or perfectly golden fluffy buttermilk pancakes with your own bottle of warm syrup. Come fill up on favorites without emptying your wallet. Cracker Barrel. Take care now.
And welcome back here, folks, as we get ready to start out the first matchup between the 2-seeded Fairmont State Fighting Falcons and the 3-seed West Liberty Hilltoppers. Colin Kirkwood and Mariah Ack with you here. Mariah, what are you looking at between these two, and what things stand out to you about this matchup?
Well, Fairmont's always been a top school. They're one of the founding programs of NCATA itself. So I'm very excited to see what Fairmont brings, and then also what West Liberty can bring and kind of just up their game a little bit more from the last time we saw their matchup.
We're getting ready here for the compulsory event here. 4 heats in this one. We'll start out with the acro heat. I believe West Liberty will be the first to step to the floor here for this one. What do you think is one of the strong points here for the Hilltoppers as we wait for them to take the floor?
This year, they've been extremely clean. They're a really strong team. I mean, every team that comes out here has to be super strong, but seeing them being able to hold their positions as good as they have and how tight they've been this year has been definitely a standout in their season.
And here come the Hilltoppers, as they'll get us kicked off to go. Seems like a pretty good start there for the Hilltoppers, wouldn't you say?
That was a solid performance, definitely something they are happy to start with.
But of course, you don't forget, with this compulsory event going on here, this is the only time you're going to see both of these teams performing the exact same skills.
Yeah, it's a direct comparison between the two, and I'm excited to see what Fairmont brings out here, but West Lib just started the meet off right.
Especially when you're playing as essentially the underdog here in this. That's what you have to do. You have to come out here and you have to start strong so you can build that foundation and move forward.
Yeah, and those tops have definitely stepped up this year. Kayla Gandy, she's a sophomore, number 0. She's actually a transfer this year from Wesleyan, and she is a standout. You will see her in a lot of events, and she made first team All-MEC. So, and then the other top, Avery Ray, she's really stepped up this year. She wasn't in a whole lot last year, her freshman year, and this year she's made a big impact on the team. In a lot of the synchronized events, we will see Avery and Kayla perform together as tops. So it's nice when you find that person that you can naturally just sync up with.
Right. 2 groups from each team for this acro event, as you saw the first time, and here come the Fighting Falcons to kick off their half. Not a bad way to get started there for Fairmont State as they are on the board moving here. And like you said, this is a pillar program of this sport.
It definitely is. They were one of the founding 6 schools of acrobatics and tumbling with former head coach Christy Kiefer. She was actually my head coach when I was competing there. So definitely a standout in the NCATA.
What stands out to you about that action that we just saw there?
Fairmont,
it might be hard to focus on one thing because they do so many things very well.
That is very true. Fairmont just always has, they have something specific for every single count. So whether it's a shrug, whether it's a foot placement, there is statements made on every single count. And that's the big game changer that they have over other teams, I feel, is they're just very, very strong in their movements and how tight they are. It makes them look extremely clean. It's hard for judges to take deductions away from a team that looks like that.
Getting ready here for the Hilltoppers. They'll step to the mat momentarily for the Pyramid Heat. Once again, 2 groups out there for West Liberty to start off the second portion of Event 1. Always impressed by the balance at the top of those formations. That takes a lot of skill that people might not realize.
It is extremely impressive, especially that middle layer. They don't get enough credit, I feel. The middle and the bottoms, it's always, we always talk about the tops, but the middle layers and the bottom, the bases, like, they do so much for that to hold together, and that was a really, really solid performance by the Hilltoppers.
They seem pretty excited after that as we wait for Fairmont State to move out for their portion of the Pyramid Heat. But between these two, we've seen it. A lot of the box scores across all of the top 4 have been really close between all of these teams, and it just shows the amount of skill that's in this conference right now.
Absolutely. And we won't see much of a difference until we get to kind of the open events where they can make up their own start values and everything. So honestly, after this event, we should still be pretty close.
Here comes Fairmont now for their Pyramid Heat. You'd have to be pretty picky there to find anything wrong with that. If anything, maybe a bit of miscommunication on the catch, on the dismount.
Yeah, and like it is very, very, very hard to be a judge in this sport. Having to find all the imperfect things about something that looks like that. Very, very strong from the Falcons there.
We'll get ready to move on now. The Hilltoppers will set up. This will be the toss heat coming up. Once again, still two groups out there.
These are all the basics we're going to see of acrobatics and tumbling here in all 4 of these first heats.
Really gives you a way to get out there and almost have an essential warm-up built into the way things work,
Yep.
which is great. Let's listen into the Hilltoppers now. Good work on the toss heat there for the Hilltoppers, wouldn't you say?
I don't think counters get enough credit. I was just thinking that in my head. The girl who stands in the middle and has to count that event, they hold the whole thing together. That's all the synchronization
And why is
comes
that?
in. That's where the synchronization is. That's how the groups stay on time together. And I mean, we depend on those 8 counts for a lot of things as an athlete. And seeing Peyton Barnes, who just came out for Fairmont in the last one, and then we had, who counted that one for us? Savannah Turner Davis. And, you know, you just don't give them enough credit. I feel like there should be an
something
award
that I can
for
see
a
that people
counter.
might not think would be as big as it is. So that makes a lot of sense.
No, that's very true. It's very true. You definitely have to have someone out there with a strong voice.
Here comes Fairmont to finish up the toss heat now. Once again, another strong showing from Fairmont State there.
We saw that right group go just a little bit higher than the other one, so we'll see a synchronization deduction there, but the height is very difficult to get synchronized.
Oh, you think there's so many elements that go into that. Of course, the dismount and up in the air to get things started. There's so many different moving elements to that to get that set up.
Absolutely. And everything is judged. So from the minute they step into that basket,
bring your A
everything's
game.
judged. Yep.
Waiting on West Liberty now. This will close out event number 1. This right here, the tumbling heat to start out. 8 student athletes out there from each of these teams.
Being an athlete who used to compete in this event, I can guarantee you this is the well, other than compulsory acro, I'll give it to that one, but this is a very, very scary event to compete in. Very nerve-wracking.
Maybe a little bit of a breakdown towards the left side of that. Not sure if you caught that. Bit of a gap in synchronization, if anything.
Yeah, and then just those tiny little jumps and steps and hops, they add up, unfortunately, and this ends up being one of the most deducted heats out of the compulsory event. So, I mean, there's 8 people out there. If 8 people take one little hop, that's 8/10. So it adds up.
Fairmont State will close things out, and the same thing coming up. And we're already done with event number 1 after that.
We're moving pretty fast today.
Can't ask for much more than that. Quality athletes out there making some great plays, and more coming up here from Fairmont State. We'll close out event number 1. forget, we'll have scores after that as well. We'll have the running tally for you at the end of each event. Looks like they might actually be taking a moment here to get themselves caught up score-wise here. That's important. There's a lot of judges down there, especially for this championship meet.
Yeah, there's 2 extras on each side. So we have 1 head judge and then 2 execution official 1s and 2 execution official 2s. So 1s are judging the tops and 2s are judging the bases. There's a lot that goes into being a judge for an acrobatics and tumbling competition.
I can only imagine it. The fact alone of just thinking about the team event when we get there and all those different places that you need to make sure that you're paying attention to.
Yeah, that's where team event, once we get there, I'll explain a little bit more, but they basically split up the mat. Someone's watching over here on the left,
Every
and then
corner.
they switch, and they do a run through in the beginning to give the judges a little insight to the routine so they can kind of pick and choose what they're going to judge and where they're going to judge it.
Fairmont State, you can see them there on your screen. They look ready and excited to take the mat here to close out event number 1. And just yourself, as you know, competing in this before, what does this weekend mean to these athletes out there?
Oh, absolutely everything. MECs was added actually my senior year. We were recognized as a sport in 2018 by the MEC, and then they added a championship for us in 2019. And competing there was one of the most exciting things ever. Making it to nationals obviously was fantastic.
Oh, for sure.
But competing at MECs, you know, everyone's very comparable here, and that's what makes it very exciting as an athlete.
Here comes Fairmont State to close out event number 1. Solid way to close out event number 1 there from Fairmont State.
That was a very, very strong performance by the Falcons. We'll see here, there's just one little step, a little hop back there. That's going to be a few tenths off, and then I just saw 2 bobbles in the standing tumbling. So definitely a good performance for them. They should be expecting a good score there.
As we wait on the scores here, but we'll take a look at things for event number 2 coming up in this video. Scratch that, Mike.
The final event of today's meet will be the team event. It encompasses everything you have seen in the first 5 events. The team event features up to 24 athletes on the floor at one time, performing skills in acro, toss, pyramid, and tumbling in a routine set to music. Key items.
As you saw there, we'll get ready and get set to start out event number 2. This, of course, the acro event. 3 portions in this one.
Yeah, and this year, this is actually the only event that changed this year. We did have a change in compulsory pyramid last year, so that's a little different. But this year, the acro events, we have 5 and 7 stayed the same. So we're going to see a team or a group come out and they'll compete 5 elements, and a group come out and compete 7 elements. But then for our 6 element heat, we actually have 2 groups performing that now, and it's synchronized. So they've brought that synchronization element into the acro, which I think, honestly, I'm surprised it hasn't been there this whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a sync pyramid, we have a sync toss. Why not have a sync
Why not
acro?
add it in there? Yeah, that makes sense to me. Looks like West Liberty has been tabulated. Fairmont State coming up shortly.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the comparison here between the two scores. It should be pretty close from what I was watching.
We'll break it down after the initial reaction here within the venue. Don't want to give it away. Don't want to spoil it for these people waiting. So you have it there after that. Fairmont State with a slim lead to start things out here, but breaking down the score sheet from event number 1, what stands out to you?
I agree with the pyramid a whole lot. They were extremely close, the 9.625 to the 9.675. And then like we pointed out, the Fairmont's toss was a little bit lopsided there, so. This is West Liberty's 5 element.
Fabulous effort towards the top there for the Hilltoppers from Jillian Hartz, number 8.
Jillian is a MEC first team, so definitely expect to see some good things out of her today. We had Jillian Hartz, Bella Paternoster, Hannah Kawarski, Abby Swinderman, and Paige Lawrence was our counter in that heat. It's nice to see some tall tops. We had Jillian and Bella there. They are a little bit taller than what you might see a normal top being. I've always really liked that about West Lib. They're not afraid to put some different people in the air. And I was tall. So so seeing someone tall out there, it's really nice to know that, you know, they can do everything. They can be a base, they can be a mid, and they can even top.
Fairmont State gets ready to take the mat here. But back to that score sheet, of course, leading by 1, Fairmont State right now is. But other than that, anything else that really stands out to you about what we saw in event 1?
Not too much. I'm in agreement with the judges right now on this one. It looks very fair. It's very matched up to how they performed.
We'll go down the row here once Fairmont State wraps up this portion of event 2. And that right there is a feat of pure strength.
That was awesome.
From top to bottom.
That was a great performance by the Falcons there. Katie Cole is a first-team All-MEC,
Look at this
rightfully
again.
so
I
here.
mean, wow. The concentration from the top and the bottom here, the strength of the bottom to keep this formation in place, and the composure to swing through like that.
And you typically don't see a swing through to a straddle. You normally see it to a pike. It is a little bit more difficult with that straddle there. Harder for the bases to control that straddle down. It's easier for a pike through to hold it because you're just kind of keeping your hands in the same place, but there you have to pull them together so they can pull their straddle. That was very impressive.
We'll take a look here at the scores for Fairmont State. We'll actually start here down for their event 1. The Acro a 9.525 in the pyramid, a 9.675 in the tumbling. Looks like it'll be an 8.475, and that'll be a 37.225 for the Fairmont State Fighting Falcons through event number 1. Here comes West Liberty to kick off the 6-element heat now. Great work there from the Hilltoppers, and don't forget to keep in mind there's a 45-second time limit here in event number 2 now.
That was a great performance for the Hilltoppers. We had the synchronization there, as I was talking about for the 6-element. It is a little bit different this year. You get to make up that event, unlike the compulsory acro that we see that every single team does. So trying to get to that start value is the big thing, just making all of those skills kind of combined in order to get that higher start value.
And looking at West Liberty now from event number 1, they had a 9.200 in the acro, a 9.625 in the pyramid, a 9.600 in the toss, and a 7.750 in the tumbling for a 36.175 that you see towards the top right of your screen there. Already just like that, we are getting set to go for the Fairmont State portion of the 6-element heat.
And for West Liberty, we did have in Heat 1, it was a 9.85 start value, and for Heat 2, it was a 9.9. For Fairmont State, we're going to see all 10-0 start values, so that means they're doing the most difficult thing, putting all together.
Right.
Start values, though, sometimes they just don't make a difference. You can go out there and try to compete at 10-0 and not have the right skills for it or the ability for it, and the other team might come back at you. It's only a few tenths of a difference here. We have West Liberty starting this event at a 29.75 and Fairmont starting at a 30, so not much of a difference.
But out of both of these two teams here, where do you think we're really going to see each of them excel individually on their own team levels?
So Fairmont this year, their tosses are very impressive to me. They have a double full toss as one of their individual tosses. They've been hinting at something on their social medias that I've been watching. I think we're going to see 2 double fulls today.
Okay.
For their sync, which I'm a little excited for. I hope I didn't let the cat out of the bag too early there, but they have been hinting at something. And
no better time to premiere it than here.
Exactly. You got nothing to lose when you're here. You've made it. You've made it to the championships. Why not? Why not try something new? And then for West Liberty, I'm really excited to see their tumbling. That's been the highlight of their meets this entire time. And then, as always, the team event's everyone's favorite. So
here comes Fairmont State. 6-element heat now for them. Once again, Fairmont State, another solid showing for them.
An athlete who has always really impressed me on Fairmont State's team is number 30. And her name is Reagan Mollahan. And she has just been, she is a strong little thing out there. She is a little bit tinier, but she is a very, very strong base for the Falcons and has been for 3 years now. She's a junior. We also have 2 athletes out there who are a little special to me. Bri Dowson, she is the only athlete on Fairmont's team left that I competed with while I was an athlete there. And then an athlete that I coached while I was the head coach at Davis and Elkins, Lauren Whittier. So it's nice to see them out there still competing and still going strong. They're both actually 5th years. They're graduates at Fairmont State. So seeing them continue and getting that extra year from the COVID year that we had is really nice.
Just about done already here with event number 2, the 7 element coming up after this for the Hilltoppers. Then we'll move into the pyramid event, and you're going to start to see a bit more separation perhaps once we hit that portion, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some there. We have differences in start values, differences in skills and skill levels, so that's where we'll see the biggest differences throughout these next few heats. But really, no matter what, it's kind of looking like this year, no matter what you put out on the mat in the beginning, you could do, as good as possible or, have a few mistakes there, but it comes down to team. And rightfully so, team event is out of 110 points, depending on your start value. But the most you can get is 110 points on that. And that just doesn't compare to the 10 points that you can get throughout the rest of the events.
We'll wait for the Hilltoppers here, just taking a moment to get themselves tabulated down there on Judges Row.
The synchronizing of everything it does take a little bit more to.
And at this level where we're at this point, it's definitely going to be kicked up a notch and a half, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The synchronization definitely takes a little bit longer to score compared to those individual groups. They want to make sure that they have everything right. We have number 7 there blowing us kisses. She's always been a little bit charismatic to the camera.
It's, of course, the first time this event ever making its way to Frostburg, Maryland. I think that's exciting for the conference to reach out to a different venue here in a different part of the country to bring this into that might not necessarily be familiar with how a championship meet runs.
It's very exciting. I was excited to see it being moved to whoever was first, seated as first. So it is exciting to have it here at Frostburg. I'm a little closer to home. I'm from Kaiser, West Virginia, so I do get to go home tonight and see my family, so that's exciting for me. But obviously Fairmont's a near and dear place to my heart, so I was excited either way.
There's just so many great venues across this entire conference that could be fantastic places to host an event like this, being someone in myself who's been to every single venue in the conference already, traveling around for different things such as football and basketball. But here comes the West Liberty Hilltoppers as they'll get ready to start things out to close out event number 2. Here comes their 7 element. Here's West Liberty closing out the 7 element heat there.
That was a great way to close out the heat. We did close out the event. That was a great job.
Sounds like a pretty strong following here in the arena for number 7. Take a look here again.
They make everything just look so easy, especially those toss to hands, the flips off. But, I mean, they're really hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not easy to take an entire person and push them up and have the ability to toss them as high as they do and land that way. Here it is again.
This is an inversion here. That one's all about balance and power and getting them up.
A lot of coordination and a lot of strength going into that.
Absolutely.
Fairmont State's going to close out event 2 with the 7-element heat. Then we'll move into the pyramid heat after this. Looks like they're just about ready to take the mat. The 2-seed Fairmont State Fighting Falcons. Might have struggled there on the initial dismount, but other than that, a pretty solid outing, wouldn't you say?
It looked really nice. The full off we had there just looked like a bit of a timing issue between the top and the base. But we did get to see another one of those straddle downs. They're just very impressive to me. You can see their hands come in a little closer in order for that top to pull the straddle. Then this one, we actually popped over into an inversion, which is even harder. That base is left alone for a second, has to hold her above her head by herself, and then gets popped into the inversion. So that's a very difficult element there.
Yeah, not easy indeed. We'll have the scores coming up here momentarily for the acro event between these two. And we'll move in, of course, to the pyramid event. 3 things part of that event number 3. If we have the video for that, why don't we take a look and see what's going on with event number 3, the pyramid event.
The pyramid event, the final event in the first half. In the pyramid event, athletes will build 3 layers in a structure. The start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and the combination of the entry, structure, and dismount. The pyramid event has 3 different heats with different requirements for each heat. Heat 1 must have an inversion, Heat 2 must be synchronized, and Heat 3 is an open heat. 2 key things the officials will be looking for are the position of the top and the stability of the structure.
And you saw there, event number 3, the pyramid event coming up, the inversion heat, the synchronized heat, and the open heat part of that. What stands out to you the most, and what do you favor in this?
So the inversion heat, it has to include an upside down element to the pyramid. So normally that comes in as a handstand. Sometimes you can see it as an inversion. Synchronized, we're going to have 2 out there. And then the open is kind of the exciting one because you never know what you're going to see. You might see a handstand. You might see a press up. It's very exciting to kind of go into this event and not really know what the team's going to compete.
Looks like we have the scores here for event 2. Let's listen in.
Fairmont State with a score of 28.075 brings their win total to 65.30.
So you see it there on your screen down. We'll start with the Hilltoppers as they'll come up to start off event 3, but across the board here in this Heat 1, a 9.225, Heat 2, an 8.900, and a 9.075 in the third heat for that portion. They have a 63.375 for a running total. We come to the Hilltoppers now to start out the inversion heat for event number 3. As Liberty kicks us off here in event number 3, they find themselves trailing by about 2 points.
Well, that was a great comeback. After hearing that you're down 2 points, they come out there and they hit one of the best pyramids I've seen them do this season. That pyramid does start at a 9.8 instead of a 10. We're going to see Fairmont start at all 10s. That was West Liberty's only 9.8. The rest are 10s. So, but I think it's worth it. At that point, when you're holding, you know, a handstand that well and the dismount looks that good, why change it?
Over on the opposite side for Fairmont State, down the row for them at event number 2, a 9.500, a 9.100, and a 9.475 for an event total of 28.075 and a running total, you see up on the top right of your screen there, 65.300 for them. As they get set to take out here for event number 3 and start off their half. With Fairmont State, they're used to, of course, bringing this event to their own building, and perhaps maybe it gives them a different perspective to approach this the way this time here is they're almost slated a bit of an underdog this time, something they might not be familiar with.
I definitely think so. It's a different headspace for sure, having it away or at home. So, but I think everyone came in here with the same ideas and the same goals and just want to perform well and perform their best. And so far, both teams have done that.
Here's Fairmont State now. Tell me what you can pull out of that there. Another great showing for them. Feels like a broken record. We've been seeing a solid effort from Fairmont State.
That was very, very impressive. When I was at Fairmont State, we competed this pyramid without, it was a different dismount. We called it the Big Mama Pyramid. Fairmont State has their own name for this year. It's called Mount Zara, rightfully so. We have Zara Kristoff on top there. It was a little fast coming through. We might see a little bit of a deduction there for synchronicity or for deviation. We saw Peyton's arm bend just a little bit there. So, I mean, it's so impressive to see someone get up there, go 3 people high, and be able to perform a handstand, pull through, and then a front flip dismount off. So,
the synchronized heat coming up next. 2 groups out there performing identical pyramids now. And this, of course, comes back to, like you said earlier, just trying to be synchronized, and that's where the big portion of this comes from.
Absolutely. You want to see those tops look exactly the same in the air. They almost want to look like the same person, same pyramid.
Here come the Hilltoppers. Really, the thing that always astounds me at this portion here is the strength of the bases towards the bottom of that formation.
Absolutely. Sitting in that back bend is not an easy feat, so
There's got to be a very small amount of the population who can do what you're seeing here on your screen right now.
That is very true. You are holding the weight of not one, but two girls who are performing insane skills above you. You have to have a lot of trust for that. You do get judged on the mount up, so that's a little bit where that start value comes from, and then the dismount off. So seeing all of that come together, and then the sturdiness of the structures as well. Just those little bobbles that come from the bases, they do get taken off. So that's where you're going to see those deductions come from. It's hard to the naked eye just to see what's going to come off, but when there's 5 judges down there who know exactly what they're looking at.
Here comes Fairmont State now for the same. Once again, don't forget that 45-second timer continues to run here in event number 3, but Fairmont State off the mat now.
We did see a little bit of a different mount here, so just a 270 up instead of the 360 we saw from West Liberty. But then Fairmont does the 360 down, and that's where we see that 10-0 come back into play. There was a little bit of a struggle there to get all the way around from the right side. It does count as deviation from the center, so we will see a little deduction there, but the synchronicity looked really, really good to me.
And this now is going to be the open heat portion of event number 3. What a lot of people like about this is you have the freedom to get a bit more creative. As you can see West Liberty there, they'll be heading that off here as we get ready to start the final portion here, the first half of this one.
Chloe Palmer has definitely been a highlight of this meet, and I just feel like we needed to give her a little bit of a shout out for all the dancing. I think she gets a 10 for that.
You can't ask for much more than that.
Definitely a hype girl.
But what do you think we'll see here out of West Liberty as we get ready to close out event number 3 in this open heat portion?
I'm not sure what to expect. It is a 10.0, so I'm excited to see what they're going to put on the mat. It might be one of their synchronized pyramids just coming back out and competing again, which is nice that you get to do that. Just change it up just a little bit, so there's a little bit of a difference there. But I am excited to see what they're going to put out.
And after the conclusion of this, we'll have the halftime score, and then we'll step into the halftime portion here, and we'll be back to start the second half after that.
Second half is the 3 T's, toss, tumbling, and team. So
things really start to pick up.
It definitely does. There's a lot of people who team and tumbling are their favorite events. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
Here comes West Liberty.
Pyramid here.
I saw you nodding a bit there. What really stuck out on that?
So they competed the same pyramid that we just saw Fairmont do, and they're synchronized. And this definitely was a nice, clean pyramid for the top Kayla. She has a very, very nice get up there. The base, you can see, is a little shaky, but we are seeing this a little bit slowed down. So we are going to see just a little bit more shakes there.
That's going to point out a little bit more, yeah.
The judges don't get to see what we're seeing, the replays. So hopefully they didn't catch too many of those little bobbles there. And then a very nice dismount from Kayla. She got all the way around and a nice stuck landing.
Fairmont State will close out the entire first half of this coming up. They find themselves in the lead by 2. Don't forget, these teams did match up earlier in the season. One time, of course, everybody in the MEC matching up against everybody at least one point in time. Fairmont State getting the win in that 261 to 252.
And looking at it, it does look like a big difference, but, you know, with a little bit of improvements in every single event, it can be a lot closer.
That gap can definitely close up here. Let's see what Fairmont State brings to the table to end out the first half. The end of the action here in the first half. What do you have to say about that?
I saw a little sigh of relief from Katie Cole there once they landed that dismount. I think she was excited to get that one all the way around. It was a very nice pyramid. Very nice straddle hold on top. A lot of people take for granted how hard that straddle hold is. Very impressive there. And solid from both bases too.
There's Fairmont State, both of them waiting on the end of the first half scores here between these two. We'll have those. Hopefully you stick around to join us here all weekend long, because it's going to be a long weekend of acro and tumbling here from the campus of Frostburg State University. Tomorrow the event finals at the beginning of the day, and then the championship meet later on, and still one more meet after this to close out 1 versus 4.
We have Coach Kutry on the Falcons side and Coach Kyle on West Liberty's side. Fun fact, Coach Kyle was actually coached by Coach Kutry, and so was I. So that's definitely exciting to see, you know, some more people coming into the coaching side who have also participated in the sport. Danielle was was a 4-time NCATA All-American, which is very exciting. She was coached by the old Fairmont State head coach Christy Kiefer.
And I feel like you see a lot of that intersecting throughout this. With it being still relatively new, you're going to see a lot of that, and people branching off like coaching trees, the best way to say that.
Absolutely, and I think it's really funny whenever Fairmont goes against West Liberty, because they were coached. Danielle and Kelsey were both coached by the same head coach, so obviously their coaching styles are going to be a little bit similar. So it is fun to see that.
Looks like we're ready here. Let's listen in. There you have it here on your screen. You can see the wrap-up of event number 3, starting with the Hilltoppers, a 9.375. Once again, another 9.375 and a 9.675. 28.425 for an event 3. They still find themselves down by 2, 91.800 for a running total. What stands out to you about them so far?
They're definitely performing as well as they can. I'm agreeing with these scores. They do have start values that are a little bit lower, so we're going to see their scores be just a little bit lower.
Sure.
But honestly, I think it's a very strong performance for West Liberty so far.
Over on the opposite side, Fairmont State with a 9.500, a 9.350, and a 9.700. Event 3 total of 28.550, and they've got the lead at the halftime mark here, 93.850 on that.
And those 2 points, we're still very, very close and still very tight. So we're going to have to see what we get into with toss, tumbling, and team. We might see a little bit more of a separation there. But so far, it's been a very close match. West Liberty is definitely putting up a fight, coming in as the underdogs here at number 3, while Fairmont sits at number 2. So, I mean, it's very exciting. MECs is always a very exciting time. You never know what's going to happen.
All right, we'll be back here after this halftime break to start out of the break for the second half, event 4, the toss event. But Fairmont State's got the lead at the halftime mark, 93.850 to 91.800. Stay tuned for more action right here on MountainEast.tv. Fairmont State leading West Liberty 93.850 to 91.800. Colin Kirkwood and Mariah Ack with you here as we get ready to start event number 4, the toss event. Why don't we hear about the video portion of this before we get started?
Our first event of the second half is the toss event. Here you will see 4 athletes toss a teammate into the air known as a top. The top will execute a flip or twist before being caught. There are 3 heats in this event: the 450 salto toss, synchronized toss, and open toss. The start value of each toss depends on skills that the top executes in the air. Officials will be looking for height, the top's body position, and tight catches by the bases.
There's a little background on the toss event coming up here, Mariah. What do you like to point out and things you'd like to focus on when we get to event 4?
So this is definitely an event where you have to focus on the height, how high you're getting the tops up in the air, and then the nice tight catches from the bases.
This is the 450 salto to get started here for event number 4. Once again, Kayla Gandy at the top there for the Hilltoppers.
I did get to talk to Coach Kyle before this meet a little bit, and she did let me in on that West Liberty has been struggling with tosses just a little this year. This is where they get their biggest point differentials and everything like that. So seeing them coming in here and being able to throw a full toss is very exciting.
Fairmont State will step up here momentarily to start out their portion.
So West Liberty on that toss, they're starting at a 9.4. And this toss for Fairmont State in Heat 1, they also are starting at a 9.4. So a good comparison here. Both are doing full tosses, back full tosses.
And here comes Fairmont State now.
There for Fairmont. That was
Sophia Del Greco at the top there to focus on for Fairmont State number 4.
It was very, very nice height. The bases there jumped off their feet, got her up in the air real high. Now, Sophia is definitely used to throwing a back double full, so we do see a little.
And I noticed a bit there, yeah, on that drop in, maybe a little bit off, and that'll be some deductions there.
We do see a little bit of over rotation, so it does definitely affect you whenever you're used to throwing a double full and have to bring it back to a full. Sophie has definitely been a standout top 4 tosses for the Falcons. All 4 years.
A lot of people realize that even that catch is important too at the end there.
Absolutely. Whenever you catch, you're supposed to catch right on top of your chest, no movement. And even the slightest little bit dip from either side is going to throw your your top off. So seeing them come in here and being able to just throw these girls in the air and catch and not move, so impressive.
West Liberty coming up now to start out the synchronized heat here, event number 4. That's 2 groups of up to 5 out there. Would have been a bit out of sync there, perhaps.
Just a little bit off in the heights makes the sync go off. But the form there looked really, really nice for those layouts. They do start at a 9.0. A little bit lower than I'm sure what Coach Kyle would like to be starting at.
That left side landing just a bit lower there, you can see on your screen.
We are going to see Fairmont come out here, and their start value is going to be a 9.9. The hinting that I was talking about earlier with these tosses, I do think they are going to pull out the sink double fools, which this will be the first time Fairmont's competed that this season.
What makes that so special for people who might not be familiar?
So it starts at a 9.9. The highest you can get is obviously a 10.
Right.
The double fools are one of the hardest tosses to have as a team here at MECs. It's very impressive. We do have one from Frostburg and one from Glenville. It's just a very difficult skill to be able to perform, and for a team to have 2 of them is very, very impressive.
Yeah, it speaks volumes, I would think.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see this.
After we close this out, we'll move into the final portion of event 4, and that'll be the open heat to close this out. Back to a single group of 5 out there. Then tumbling will follow momentarily, and that's where we really get to focus in on a lot more people on more of an individual level, really. And the pressure definitely ramps up, wouldn't you say? And here comes Fairmont States. We'll put that on hold, and we'll jump back into that momentarily. Now take us through that we just saw here.
That was awesome. I can't help but getting a smile on my face, and I would for any single team that would come out here and do that as well as they performed it. The height that you have to get to be able to spin around 2 times, completely laid out. That was a great job by the Falcons. The bases there, being able to throw them up, and then the tops to be able to stay tight enough to spin twice in the air and land together. Just very, very impressive.
West Liberty coming up momentarily for the open heat now, back to a single group of 5.
West Liberty is starting at a 9.25 for this event. So like I said, Coach Kyle does know that these scores are a little bit lower than what they'd like to, these start values are a little bit lower than what they'd like to have, but hopefully we do see a nice performance here by the Hilltoppers so they can keep this 2-point deficit around the same number.
We'll see what they bring to the floor here now. Quick and to the point there on that.
A front full toss, so you don't have to flip all the way around to complete that front toss. Does look like it could use a little bit more height and where they might get some of their deduction from, but the form on it looks really, really nice.
It's the basic thing you want to try and build off of, as long as you can have solid form. That's half the battle right there.
Absolutely. Being able to go up in the air and spin around like that, you definitely have to have some good form for them to be able to catch you.
Fairmont State will close out heat 3 here in event 4.
And they do have a star value of a 9.9 again, so they are going to bring it back out, that double full. Not sure which top they're bringing back out for that, which group. Looks like they're going to bring out number 2, Taylor Openlander. She's actually the one who they just added into that double full sync, so I'm excited to see why they might choose her over Sophie, or, you know, if it was just a thing where they kind of flipped a coin. It does tend to happen sometimes whenever you have those sync groups that are just so good together.
They'll be out here momentarily as they wait. When the scoring gets tabulated, we'll have that later on. Then we'll get set for, as we said, the tumbling event coming up in 5. It's the longest event. Here comes Fairmont State now. Take us through that once again here. That's a lot of concentration going on there throughout the entirety.
That was awesome. Again, they just turned that that toss sideways so you could see it a little bit differently. Wanted to show the judges different sides of that toss. You can see that she's going to complete the twist and then get caught. That's the biggest thing. You can see how much height she has on that.
And that's all coming from the power of those student athletes down there to get her that high to begin with.
Absolutely. You definitely have to be strong to be one of those bases.
In the meantime, while these scores are tabulated, why don't we check out the behind the scenes here on event number 5, the tumbling event.
Next up is the tumbling event, which has 6 heats. The first 3 are synchronized group tumbling passes, a duo, trio, and quad pass. The last 3 are individual tumbling passes, the aerial, 6-element, and open pass. The start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and combination of skills in each pass. Officials will be looking for body position, continuity of skills, and technique in each skill.
This is where things really start to get a bit more zeroed in, wouldn't you say? All that focus essentially out there on a group of 1, 2, 3, even 4 student athletes, and you're bearing the entire weight of your whole team on your shoulders for this.
Definitely. This is something that's very nerve-wracking, but also so awarding if you are able to do it and go out there and compete for your team in those duo, trio, quad, and then all the individual tumbling passes. This is where you do see a lot of the differences in start values. I'll be sure to let you know where we're starting at for each tumbling pass. Everything's just a little bit different here. So seeing how you can kind of get these skills together, the round-offs, the back handsprings, how many hand elements you have, that's how we figure out what our start values are going to be.
It sounds like the scores are making their way in now. We'll break those down following the conclusion. And there you have it through event number 4. West Liberty getting ready to start off quickly here as we go into the beginning portion of event number 5. We'll check out scores a bit later. This duo, 2 student athletes out there to start out event 5. Kayla Gandy and Jillian Hartz, number 0 and number 8.
And that tumbling pass does start out of a 9.4. And back to those scores. So we knew coming into it that West Liberty was down in their start values compared to Fairmont State's, and that Fairmont, might take the lead just a little bit more here.
You can see here once again, looking rather locked in on that. A little trouble there on that dismount towards the end, though.
Yeah, the landings looked a little rough. The synchronicity throughout the tumbling pass, though, looked spot on for the Hilltoppers there.
And like you said, towards the end here, of course, as of the score right now, Fairmont State in the lead, 121.850 to 117.225. You said you might see a little bit more separation because the Hilltoppers have been struggling with their tosses.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that they plan on working on. All their donations this year that they raised is going to a new toss belt. So they hopefully we'll see a little bit of improvement there. Fairmont does have a toss belt of their own, so maybe that's why their tosses are just they're up in their game in tosses.
The 2 coming out here for Fairmont State, Sophia Del Greco, number 4, will be out there, as well as Giovanna Pointer, number 9. The 2 of them you can see on your screen getting ready. They'll take the mat from the top left corner, it looks like.
Sophie is a senior this year. And then, and a freshman. So we have a senior and a freshman coming together. You don't see that too often. It is syncing up passes is just a little bit difficult. So you normally see 2 who may have come in at the same time, and they've been able to work on it throughout their few years here at Fairmont. But this is exciting. An exciting matchup today.
Now after that initially there, you might have saw a little bit of trouble towards the right side. Walk me through that here. Do you think that'll be any kind of deduction here? You'll see it towards the end.
So I don't see too much except for this landing here. She does have a lot of power.
I was going to say a lot of power and a lot of force coming through there.
They're both powerhouses for sure. You can see that when they're just making their way into the tumbling pass, but she might get a few tenths. I could see maybe up to about 3 tenths off there, but she landed it. So that's the big thing is, if you're landing it, you're going to get a pretty decent score. Their star value was a 9.6, so they're just a little bit higher than West Lib in the duo pass.
We can actually take a look here at the toss scores now. Well, we've got a bit of a chance between these 2, and you can see it on the board. Broken down for West Liberty an 8.800, an 8.225, and an 8.400. 25.425 for them in event number 4, and 28 on the dot on the opposite side for Fairmont State. Bit of a breakdown there to see as we get ready to start out the trio portion here of the tumbling event.
And the more athletes that you add, the harder this gets.
This is Audrey Prater, number 5. Bella Paternoster, number 10, and Avery Ray, number 15. A pair of freshmen and a sophomore out there. Not bad for a pair of freshmen there, wouldn't you say?
That was very, very nice. I have seen some struggles with that tumbling pass throughout the year, so seeing them all stick it and land it and the synchronicity looking so good, it's very nice. That does
run
start
through again here. Look at that.
That does start at a 9.1.
I think we're seeing a lot of the problems, I guess you could say, here towards the end of these.
Yeah, in those 1.5s, when you get into a 1.5, it is a blind landing, so you don't see the floor until you land on it. So it's a little bit more difficult to slow down or to speed up in order to stick that landing. So seeing everyone landing in the 1.5s it's a little difficult.
And over here is Fairmont State. They'll get ready for their trio. And it looks like Taylor Openlander, number 2, Catherine Cole, number 5, and Zaria Christopher, number 7. Christoph, pardon me, will be out there. Pair of sophomores and a junior.
And this is going to start at a 9.4, so they're starting 0.3 higher than West Liberty in this heat.
Didn't seem to be very phased on that at all.
No, and that's something that I would be very, very excited about. The timing on that was amazing and impressive. They looked like one person.
Yeah, the cohesiveness there on that, very impressive the whole way through.
And you can see the height difference between all three of those athletes. You see Katie Cole being a little bit taller than both of the others.
That could be more of a problem than people would think.
Absolutely. Zara and Taylor, it is difficult syncing up with someone who's smaller. Again, I was taller, and I had to sync with some shorter girls, and it's difficult having to get up to their speed or for them to get down to your speed if you're a little bit slower.
This now the quad portion of event number 5, and for the Hilltoppers, it'll be Ellie Godby, number 4, Paige McLaughlin, number 17, Kate Lowry, number 21, and Sarah Lee, number 22. A sophomore, a fifth year, a junior, and a senior.
And they're starting at an 8.5 for this, so they're going to throw some fulls right here. You normally see the star values go down as we add more people.
I feel like it gives you a chance to focus a little bit more, and it's also harder when you add more people into the equation.
Yes, and then getting the sync is a little bit harder when you have just too many skills in there, so pulling back and giving yourself a lower star value might be beneficial for you.
Looks like they're ready here. Now that, to a regular person, would seem very solid, and I have to agree as well there. I didn't see a whole lot of separation between them at all.
No, it looked very, very nice. You can see how close they start together. That's just to make sure that they're hurdling at the same time, they're going into their back handsprings at the same time. I think it definitely paid off to have just a little bit lower of a start value and to throw those fulls than to try to get anything different in there, try to up their start values. That might make it just a little bit more sloppy or give them a few more deductions, but that was clean. It was nice.
And now Fairmont State will get ready for their portion on the same, and it looks like they will bring out a quad as follows here. Number 1, Chloe Smith. Number 11, Natalie Moore. Riley Vinson, number 21, and number 29, Elizabeth Maurer.
And their quad tumbling pass starts at a 9.1, so they are starting 0.6 higher than than West Liberty in this event.
There'll be 3 sophomores and a junior out there. As they await to get set to go here. Moving right along. The aerial portion coming up. This is where things will get individual after the following conclusion of this. I'm not sure about you, but something just seemed a bit off there.
Yeah, it looks like the number 11 in the back, she just hurdled a little bit too soon.
That's Natalie Monroe.
She might just be a little bit faster than everyone else there on that landing. But still, 1.5s are, again, a very difficult skill to perform.
We'll start out here as we move right on along. This will be now the aerial portion of Event 5. Individual pass coming up here in this one, and it will be Kayla Gandy for the Hilltoppers. That is the sophomore from Washington, PA, Trinity High. She'll take the mat soon. You'll see her over there on the right side of your screen.
And Kayla's going to be starting at a 9.75, so pretty high start value for Kayla here. Normally these event tumblers, the individual tumblers that come out, they're pretty much the best tumblers that you have on your team, the best ones that you want to showcase. They can come from a cheer background or a gymnastics background.
There she is. All MEC first team, Kayla Gandy. Now, one of the things I always like to point out when we get to this point in time here is the fact that the power and the spring that you see in these cross mats doesn't come from any kind of spring-loaded mat underneath them. This is all the athletes putting this out here.
Yeah, it's just a mat laid on top of a gym floor, so everything you're seeing is coming from those legs. That was a nice pass there from Kayla. Just a little bit of a small step out whenever she came out of the 1.5 at the end. You are allowed to take a step if it is declared in the start value sheets that they send into the judges, but it has to be a controlled step. So that doesn't count as a controlled step, unfortunately, and she will get a little deduction there, but for the most part, it looks really clean and really tight.
Giovanna Pointer, number 9. You see her on the screen right there. She'll be taking this portion for Fairmont State. A freshman from Jupiter, Florida.
And she is also going to be starting, she's starting at a 9.7, so just 0.05 under Kayla Gandy.
You have to wonder if there's a lot of nerves in play here for a freshman standing out there, waiting to get started for this.
You would think, but if she's coming from a cheer or a gymnastics background, I'm sure she's been put in the situation where she has to be individualized, and she's probably used to it.
Looks rather composed to me, and we're waiting on her chance to step to the mat. She'll be taking it from the top left corner here. She looks rather happy after that, and rightfully so.
And I can tell you, just from that little salute that she did at the beginning and the end, she is definitely a gymnastics background. Very pretty front layout into the round-off back handspring 1.5. There's that salute. That's a signature salute for college gymnastics, but I'm not against bringing it into the acro world.
Why not? Now we'll move over to the 6-element heat of event number 5. will stay individual here once again. Jillian Hartz, number 8, will step out for the Hilltoppers. There she is over on the right side. It's the sophomore from Duquesne, Pennsylvania, and a West Mifflin High.
She's going to be starting at a 9.5.
And I can tell you she's going to come from a gymnastics background, competed regionally as a level 9 gymnast.
Well, there you go. Yeah, she's definitely a standout here for the West Lib team. She did make MEC All-Conference first team, so it's very exciting for her and one of her teammates, Kayla, who we just saw in the last pass.
We have to get on the same page here and we'll be ready to rock, and it sounds like we are ready to proceed. The performance there, anything standing out to you in particular?
So when you have those connections there, like she does a round off back handspring 1.5. You're going to see here into a round off back handspring full. So when we see those connections in the middle, we're really looking to keep the momentum going throughout. And she does have a little bit of a pause there. So she will get a little bit of a deduction for the speed differential there, but you know, other than that, the 1.5 was really high and the full was really high, and both had good form. So I think it could be a really good score for her there.
This is Taylor Openlander, number 2, the sophomore from not that far away here in Beckley, West Virginia, as she gets ready to start things out. Another member with a very, very large gymnastics background here. A lot of state championships all down the ledger, 2009, 2010, 2016.
And when you're looking at that list, you do see that she's a floor champion as well. So this is the floor part of gymnastics we have here. She's going to be starting at a 9.8 with this pass.
Looks like we're ready for her portion here. And the movement towards the middle of that is just extremely impressive.
The whips, yeah, those are, I mean, they're basically back handsprings without hands, but it's a lot harder than a back handspring. And then we do see this 1.5. Looks like she took off just a little bit too early for that 1.5. Started twisting kind of off the ground, so she didn't get that height that she needed to make it all the way around, and then she does end up having to step off the mat, which is a slight deduction.
Now this will be the open to close out event number 5. And it looks like for the Hilltoppers, it'll be Bella Paternoster, number 10. Another freshman from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
She's been a standout in their tumbling events this year. She's had an individual pass for herself, I think, every single meet this year. And she's going to be starting at a 9.75. So she's definitely upped her game throughout the season.
We'll see if she can finish out on a high note for the Hilltoppers in event number 5. Once we're done with this, it'll be a bit of a break to get scores set up, and then we'll be ready for the conclusion of this one, the exciting conclusion in the team event.
That's when we're going to see everything kind of come together from the acro, pyramid toss, and tumbling, and we're going to see it all put to music, and somehow they're going to get it done in 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
It's rarely very, very impressive. She is ready over there on the right side near that Hilltopper bench area. Some of the hometown fans are starting to make their way in here. The Bobcats coming up as the nightcap following the conclusion of this.
Like a packed house whenever I was coming back up from halftime, but I'm sure when I get up, there's going to be even more. So I'm excited to see all the fans here for acrobatics and tumbling. Definitely a growing sport.
She's still waiting to step out here. It's important. You got to make sure you have all the P's and Q's in the line here in the score sheet towards the end of this.
Here is just getting the right score for that step off the mat. It does take a little bit longer to score whenever something goes wrong. If we have a fall, if we have a step.
We saw a couple of falls actually in the warm-up towards the beginning here, which you really don't see that often.
We did, and it was from both sides too. It was kind of, it was kind of nerve-wracking whenever you fall a little bit. And what are you going to put out on the mat? And teams have been stepping up.
And she'll wait to step up here. Not really what she was looking for there, unfortunately.
No, and I think we might have jinxed her just a little bit.
We just might have.
That might have been our fault. Sorry, Bella. Yeah, it looks like she just didn't get enough power into that whip to make the 1.5 all the way around. It is a very difficult pass.
Looks like Catherine Cole will be the one tasked for this for Fairmont State. Number 5, a junior from Hartville, Ohio. Different mixed background here, competition cheer as well as high school gymnastics for number 5.
It looks like she's going to be starting at a 10.0, so this is our first and our only 10.0 start value in the tumbling event. She's been an individual tumbler for the Falcons since she started here.
The junior waits to take the mat. 3-time All-State qualifier in high school gymnastics, 2-time state champion for competitive cheer.
She's definitely a standout for this team. She did get weekly honors from the MEC once this year, and then she is first team All-MEC athlete this year.
She'll close out event number 5, and we'll step aside for a brief break as we get ready for the team event following the conclusion of this. We've been waiting for that all day long. It's going to be the exciting part where everything, like you said, gets wrapped up and we get to see it all on display one more time. But in the meantime, let's check out Fairmont State. And she looks thrilled following the conclusion of that.
That was a great pass, and that is the controlled landing that I was talking about. You want to see the athlete land and then step. We're going to see a round-off whip, Arabian, round-off handspring, 1.5. And that controlled step right there.
And that concludes event number 5 as we get ready for the team event. We'll step aside quickly here, and when we come back, get ready for the exciting conclusion. We'll have the scores from event number 5. Stay tuned. You're watching the Mountain East Conference Acro and Tumbling Championships here on MEC TV.
General Stores has served our hometowns for decades, providing those essential needs for the road of life. The LG family goes above and beyond to ensure that your experience is an easy one. That's why they offer the LG Rewards Card, a way to earn points for free drinks, coffee, and even discounts on fuel. Rest assured, you'll leave knowing they have your needs covered. And by the way, tell them Hug sent you. Little General Stores, your road's neighbor.
Here at the Cracker Barrel, home-style food and great value go hand in hand, with favorites like slow-simmer chicken and dumplings starting at $7.99. Or perfectly golden, fluffy buttermilk pancakes with your own bottle of warm syrup. Come fill up on favorites without emptying your wallet. Cracker Barrel. Take care now.
And welcome back here after that brief break, and we'll wait on the Hilltoppers to take the floor for the final team event in this one. Break this down a little bit here. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. There's going to be 30 acro elements, 5 tosses, 4 pyramids, everything all across the board.
There's a lot of requirements that goes into team event, and the coaches actually will send the judges 24 hours before the meet. They send the judges an SV, which is a start value file. It's going to tell the judges exactly what they plan to compete, exactly what they plan to put out on the mat, and it totals up their start value for teams. So we're going to see West Liberty come out here with a 101.75 start value, and Fairmont's going to come out with a 103.11. So just a 2-point difference there. And the total overall score that you can possibly score is a 110. So both teams, it seems like they're really far under, but there's a lot of things that go into a team event.
Looks like the scores are running off here for the full entirety of Event 5. Let's listen in. And there you have it. Through event number 5, the Fairmont State Fighting Falcons increase their lead.
And we will break those scores down a little bit later. We are going to have to tune right into this.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into it. And again, this is out of a 101.75. And we're going to see all the events come together here. So we're going to
sit back and enjoy. This is quite a spectacle. And that'll do it for the Hilltoppers.
It was a really nice team event there for the Hilltoppers. There were no major issues.
Anything standing out really at a much higher level, perhaps?
The only deduction, the only big deduction that I saw in there was there was a bulk on one of the tumbling passes, so she didn't go for one of her passes. But you had to be looking really close to be able to not see that. Now this is an inversion here, and this counts as a lot of their acro skills.
I saw a bit of a bobble there towards the right side.
Yeah, and we're gonna, I mean, honestly, team event, you do rack up the bobbles. You're
tired? You've been out there for a lot of different things throughout the entirety?
Absolutely.
Of course.
It's hard to hold it together. It's very difficult. And like I said, I did get to talk to Coach Kyle. They did add 9 new tumbling passes to this team event for this competition. So they did a great job pulling that off, and I'm sure that's what most of the cheering was for. I saw Coach Kyle down on the mat. She was very excited, very happy, and as she should be. That was a really nice team event.
Fairmont State will look to take the floor here with the same for their team event. Look at the synchronization and look at the concentration all across the floor here. Just the fact alone that you see all these different things happening on your screen and there's not one collision, you know? A lot of people, I'm sure, would sit there and think that.
And that's where all that timing comes into play. You do have to keep count when you're on the mat. You do hear it whenever you're watching team events. You hear the girls, repetitively count to 8, and there was that bulk down in the corner. But yeah, you got to stay on time, and if you mess up the counts, you might get...
It's kind of a snowball effect, because things will just start to roll following.
Yep, you might run into the problem of a collision. Luckily, I haven't seen many of those, so...
Fairmont State looks just about ready to make their way onto the floor here to close out the first matchup between these two, the 1 and 4 matchup coming up at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. Might get pushed back a little bit here. We're running a bit slow. It's just about 7 o'clock here. Maybe that'll push back to perhaps a 7:40 start. We'll see later on in this one, but Fairmont State's waiting to close things out.
And Fairmont's going to start about 2 points higher here with their start value of 103.11. And again, that start value comes from a combination of things. It comes from acro, pyramid, toss, running tumbling, standing tumbling, and then you get 10 points for the dance. So even the dance is going to be judged here. Normally teams do get a 10 out of 10 there on the dance, and that's about all they score perfect on. But as long as you do a dance for, it's 2 8 counts of dancing, and you can only have an acro or a pyramid or a toss going at the same time. You can't have a tumbling going while you're dancing. There's a lot of weird rules for acro, and a lot of rules only the coaches and the judges know. Even some of the athletes don't know that. So
you go out there and you give it your best shot.
Absolutely.
They are just about set here. It looks like I'm seeing the right signs from judges row. And Fairmont State will look to advance here with a solid performance to cap things off. And they expected to find their way into tomorrow's action.
Yeah, as long as they can pull off a nice clean hit routine, it looks like Fairmont State may have this one. They have been one of the top schools in the MEC this year, with their only loss coming from Frostburg State, another MEC school who we'll see later this evening compete against Glenville.
That's a squad that has played a heavy hitting schedule. A lot of ranked opponents on that schedule for the Bobcats that really carved them out. You can really say it's one of those things that builds out character and carves you to be stronger.
Absolutely. It looks, they went to Baylor too. West Liberty got the chance to go to Baylor as well and compete.
Made a trip to Quinnipiac as well, also in the top 5 on that schedule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ranked opponents.
And right now on the NCATA rankings, we have Fairmont coming in at number 7 and Frostburg coming in at number 6. So these schools are definitely competitive. And for acrobatics and tumbling, we're not split up into the 2 divisions yet. So we are competing here against Division 1, 2, and 3 schools. So being ranked among one of the top best in the nation,
it means more, I think.
Absolutely. It's so impressive to be ranked up there when number 1 and number 2 are, you know, big schools like Oregon and Baylor, Quinnipiac.
And we should be ready to go here. So many things to run through and so many things to get on the right page. It can take a little bit.
And we have 5 judges, so getting the scores from all 5 different judges is a little different than the normal 3 that we have at regular meets throughout the year. We do have 24 athletes coming out onto the mat for Fairmont. We had 23 for West Liberty. You're allowed up to 24, and you have to have 18 to not get a deduction.
Make sure you stick around following the conclusion of this one to do this again for Glenville State and Frostburg State coming up later.
I'm excited to see that matchup. I was just talking to the coaches from both teams, and they're excited to compete against each other again. I'm almost positive that the difference was very close last time.
Yeah, it actually was. It was a lot closer than a lot of people thought. 258 to 257.
Yeah, that's very close, and honestly, probably one of the lower scores that Frostburg has gotten this year. Probably the lowest score that Frostburg received this year. But seeing Glenville come back after the year they had last year is very, very impressive and something that they should be extremely proud of.
They're going to be excited to be here.
Yes, and their new coach, Taylor Broadwater, she's taken over the program for this year, and she's done a fantastic job with the team. And then obviously Coach Katie Nunley on Frostburg's side, she received Coach of the Year this year. So seeing all these impressive people come in here and being able to coach the sport of acrobatics and tumbling with how new it is, it's just an incredible thing.
You know, we've got some time here. Maybe we can take a look at the team video. Didn't get a chance to view that here. It might be a good time to swing that up and have a quick look.
The final event of today's meet will be the team event. It encompasses everything you have seen in the first 5 events. The team event features up to 24 athletes on the floor at one time, performing skills in acro, toss, pyramid, and tumbling in a routine set to music. Key items for officials to evaluate include synchronization of skills, stability of the structures, body position, and technique of the tumbling. This is a very fast-paced event, so be sure to keep your eyes on the mat at all times.
Perfect timing. Here we go as Fairmont State is ready. A very confident way to end things out for Fairmont State after that.
That was a great performance by them. No, I didn't see any standout deductions
Thought
there.
it would be difficult to look for something.
There might have been a few steps in tumbling, just controlling those step outs we saw. Here we see their opening, their pyramids. You only have to have 2 of these synchronized. It looked to me as they had 3 synchronized and one that was just a little bit different on the side. But overall, a really solid performance by the Falcons.
When we get these scores tabulated, we'll step aside. Make sure you come back to see the exciting conclusion here and see who takes this one home. You're watching the Mountain East Conference Acrobatics and Tumbling Championships right here on the MEC TV. Welcome back here as we wait out the final few moments between these two as the judges work out the final score for Fairmont State.
What a good matchup it's been today. We had no major issues here. Both teams putting out their best, and that's all you can ask for in a championship meet, honestly.
That's what you come here to do.
I'm sure both coaches are very proud of their teams.
Just being able to make it here.
Exactly.
It's one of those big things that you can really just put on your shoulders and be happy with.
And being ranked 2nd and 3rd in the conference, that's very, very exciting for both teams.
As we might have expected coming into this one, Fairmont State pulls away and secures the victory in the 2-3 matchup.
Definitely a good matchup between these two, though. Both coming in excited to compete. But we will see Fairmont State. Fairmont State does live to see another day, and they will compete tomorrow after event finals in the championships. And now we just get ready for our second meet of the day to see who they're going to go against.
There's the final totals on your screen now, 261-910 to 249-925. The 2 wins in the 2-3 matchup, and Fairmont State, like you said, will advance to tomorrow to take on the winner of the 1 versus 4 matchup coming up throughout the rest of this evening. Plenty more acro and tumbling action coming up after this, but the end of 1 is done here. Stick around as event number 2 will kick off later on between Frostburg State and Glenville State.